First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bahakudash. I want to give double honors to our apostles and elders up in Great Millstone who ruled well and taught us his truth. And the sincere peace and salutations to all the Aki and pushing his word and truth in it all sincerity. It's the brother Ganon from DC Church coming back at you with a quick video. And Lord's word is going to be quick. And through the spirit, I don't have a title for this video right now, but through the spirit, something going to jump out. I'm just responding to, Zabak, the elder Zabak, and I'll say elder because he's been doing this way longer than myself. So, but with that being said, he made a statement saying that he received death threats from men of Great Millstone. I listen to the elders, the older brothers in the church, GMS, and obviously the apostle Tahar, and the apostles responded to it. And basically they say, show your proof, show the proof, because if you don't present the truth, the proof, that is a lie, man. That is slander. And ever since I've been in the in Great Millstone, about going on 11 years now, that's something that happens to Great Millstone all the time. Our apostles and our bishops, have been lied on, since I've been here, and that just shows you. Let me get this scripture real quick in Galatians. Who Yahweh Shai, what Yahweh Shai is dealing with. This is Galatians 2:20. It says, I am crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of the Most High, who loved me and gave himself for me. Now, we all supposed to be crucified, Romans 12:1. You're supposed to give your body as a living sacrifice. So it says, I'm crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And that is the huge part. That is the biggest part of this truth, man. Is can Yahweh Shai use your vessel, for themselves, and things of slander is a telltale sign that Yahweh Shai is not dealing with you, man. Is one of the things that the Lord hate. Exodus 20:16. You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. If the Lord was dealing with you, if the Lord was using your soul, these things wouldn't happen. And I'm not gonna say it's a lie right now, because like the Apostle Tahar said, it could be it could be some agents, or it could be a nigga going rogue. It'd be a couple niggas in Great Millstone. Brothers have a stern and I would say effective vetting process, but you will always get some slipping through the cracks. So if Zabak don't present that proof, the Lord is going to deal with him, through the Spirit. Because that's in the Ten Commandments. You should not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Let me go to Sirach 1, and I'm going to start at 11. It says, to fear the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. It says to fear the Lord, and I'm harping on the fear of the Lord, because if the Lord was truly dealing with you, you will have a easy understanding of his power. No matter how you feel about Great Millstone, no matter how Zabak feel about Apostle Tahar, because obviously this looks like this is dating back to years ago. The One West beef, which our apostles have made it clear, that beef with you is doctrine. But these dudes seem to have different problems, which is why they're lying, they're slandering, because no matter what or how the apostles feel about these other heads of their camps, I haven't heard a lie. I haven't heard clear slander. Why? Because the fear of the Lord. If you're lying on your neighbor, if you're lying on a man, if you're lying on his name, like all of you have lied on Great Millstone, calling Great Millstone rapists, pedophiles, all this bullshit, you see how the Lord is reacting. The Lord is dealing with dudes, man. Sakari. The head of Sakari. The former head of Sakari, right before all that shit went down with the pagan, he was slandering the apostles. He was calling us rapists. He was slandering the men of Great Millstone. And he got dealt with. You know, earlier when we came into the truth, one of the bigger publicized situations was Polite. You know, oh, you almost got me. You almost got me. You know, he's talking about he was almost about to convert, so to speak. Then he said the thing with the fish, Jonah and the fish, and then he started calling us pedophiles, and he went on a tirade for years calling us pedophiles, and now look at him in jail for dealing with an underage girl. You know, and this shows you that the our power, Yahweh Shah, is the true power. He's the true power, and he gave us a clear list of things that he disdains and that he hates. You know, and the men of the Lord are going to take heed to that. You know, because we don't want to be judged. No matter how we feel about these other dudes, we're not going to lie on them. Starting with our apostles and the bishops and the heads on down. You know, but continuing on, I'm gonna read that again. Sirach 1:11. It says, "To fear the Lord is honor and glory and gladness and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Lord maketh a merry heart and giveth joy and gladness and a long life. Whoso feareth the Lord, it shall go well with him at the last, and he shall find favor in the day of his death." You know, these guys they not considering these things, man. You know, these lies and these slanders, you're not considering that there's an end coming, and you're not gonna receive favor in these days, man. You know, it shows you that these dudes, they don't fear the Lord, and the reason why you don't fear him is because you don't believe ultimately. Because if you believed in Yahweh Shah, then you're gonna believe in the power that they have, and you're not gonna disobey them to the best of your ability. You know, it says to fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it is created with the faithful in the womb. You see, so this is a telltale sign to all of these jakes out here that believe that they're Hebrew Israelites, but they don't know which teacher to go to. Slander is a huge telltale sign of who the Lord is dealing with, because it says right here, and it was created with the faithful in the womb. The faithful are going to stay faithful to the words of Yahweh Bashem Shai, and they're not going to be you're not going to be able to tag them as liars. You're gonna start lying on them because you don't have nothing to put on them. If you had something to put on them, you wouldn't have to lie, right? Let me see. There's a couple of scriptures in my mind. Let me go to Proverbs. A couple of scriptures in Proverbs I'm thinking about. What is this? 6. Give me a second. All right, I'm gonna have to look it up. Salaki, I was trying not to look it up. These 6 things that was right there. That's crazy. Salakia, Proverbs 6:16. It says, "These 6 things doeth Yahweh Shah hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood." But a lying tongue, man. The Lord hate these things, man. It pisses him off. A lying tongue. To sit and turn on your camera in order for people to get on your side pertaining to doctrine. You're saying that men of great millstone threatened your life because you don't believe Cornelius is a Israelite. That's crazy. Threaten your life over the mark of the beast, bro. If you take the mark of the beast, you're gonna die anyway. Why would someone have to threaten your life, man? You know. But these things do the Lord hate, man. Let me go to Proverbs 10:18. It says, "He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth slander is a fool." Follow no fool, man. The men that follow Salakia, the men that follow Zabak, you have to pay attention to what's going on. He have to present proof that men of great millstone threaten his life. He have to present proof, or else that will go down as a lie, man. That is slander. He can say he forgot, you know, and y'all gonna buy it. It's all not Salak. He ain't gonna. He can say that, or he don't know where, or it was a long time ago, or whatever the case may be. He may, develop amnesia or whatever the case may be, and y'all gonna believe it. But this is a telltale sign, you know. You know, he's trying to demonize the men of Great Millstone. When you see the heads of Great Millstone saying that that's what Apostle I say, you're gonna have to fucking explain yourself if you did that shit. You know, if you're a man in Great Millstone of good standing, you gotta explain that. Talking about you gonna do it, what do you mean? You know, that's just unwise. It said, I'm gonna read that again. It says, "He that hateth, Salaki, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. And the multitude of words there want Salaki, and a multitude of words there wanting not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise." You know. So basically, a bunch of babbling, you gonna bring on sin to yourself. You know, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. And I'm gonna get that in a different version, Salaki. I'm gonna get that in a different version. The CSB. It says, "The one who concealed hatred has lying lips, and whoever spreads slander is a fool. When there are many words, sin is unavoidable, but the one who controls his lips is prudent." You see? And one that conceals hatred has lying lips. You know, you have concealed hatred for the leaders of Great Millstone. You know, so now you're gonna have to start bringing out lies because you don't have things on these men. You know, and it shows if you spread and slander you're a fool. You know, it says when there are many words, sin is unavoidable, man. When you keep babbling, man, sin is unavoidable. You can't help it, you know. But a prudent man controls his lips, you know. Not everything needs to be said. Not everything needs to be talked about, you know. And knowing when not to talk, you know. And these are leaders, man. These are leaders of men, men that been doing this before I even been alive, man. You know, you can easily identify it, man. A man that loves to talk. You gotta watch that secret hatred that you have in your heart for other men. And you gotta judge them based off of their works. And you gotta judge them according to the doctrine and not your feelings. This is Romans 12:19. It says, in the CSB, "Friends, do not avenge yourselves. Instead, leave room for the Most High's wrath, because it is written, vengeance belong to me. I will repay, saith the Lord." You know, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. You know, and the reason why I got that scripture is that's what men of understanding, a man of great millstone, A man that like it says in Philippians 2:5, let this mind be in me as it is in the Father. You know, the men that has Yahweh Shai dwelling within them, this is your thought. Ain't no man gonna threaten your life. You know, I can see a man getting vexed by men saying that the mark of the beast is X, Y, and Z when it's clearly the chip. It's clearly the fucking trip. You know, I get mad thinking about it. But I'm not gonna threaten your life. And I'm not gonna go do anything to you. You know? Salakia. Yeah, I'm doing a video. Yeah, I'm doing a video. Alright. You know, but that's what's in that's what's gonna be in Jake mind. You know? That's what's gonna be in Jake mind. Leave it up to the Lord. You know? And even with the slander. Like I said, since I've been in the truth, the men of Great Millstone been lied on since I've been here. You know? Been lied on since I've been here. But ain't nobody gonna go avenge themselves. The Lord is gonna do it, man. You know, like I said, do not avenge yourselves. Leave room for the Most High's wrath. You know, the Lord is going to deal with you way worse than we can. So we just going to continue to preach the doctrine, continue to push the word, continue to do what's commanded of us. You know, more and more. Well, all this babbling that these men are doing, you're going to be able to see men put their foot in their mouth. And I believe through the Spirit, that's what the elders Zabak did. You know, but that's it, man. You know, that's all. You know, I got that's my 2 cents. Lord's willing, this was edifying to the elect. You know, with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakudash. Double honors to our apostles and elders up in Great Millstone who ruled well and taught us this truth. Shalom to the elect.